Have you ever wondered how much keeping up with the Joneses really costs you? In today's video, we'll unveil the hidden expenses of status spending and how they can compound against your financial future. You'll learn why those seemingly harmless purchases can lead to a cycle of debt and stress. Let's dive into how to break free and build real wealth instead. Have you ever bought something just because everyone else had it? Maybe it was the latest smartphone or that trendy jacket. You thought, it's just a little extra spending. But what if I told you that this keeping up habit could be costing you way more than you realize? Imagine spending an extra $500 a month on things you don't really need. Over a year, that adds up to $6,000. And if you invest that money instead, with a modest growth rate, you could be looking at a significant nest egg down the line. So, is fitting in really worth sacrificing your financial future? In today's video, we'll uncover the hidden costs of status spending and how it compounds against you. If you find this topic intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Chill Finance for Real Life. Let's dive in. Before we dive in, please remember this video is for educational purposes only. It's not financial, legal, or tax advice. We encourage you to do your own research and consider seeking professional advice if needed. Alright, now let's zoom out and explore the hidden costs of keeping up with status spending. Have you ever found yourself making a purchase just to impress others? Maybe it's that fancy car or the latest smartphone. While these things may feel good in the moment, they often come with hidden costs that can add up over time. Let's break it down. Imagine you spend $1,000 on a designer handbag. If you keep doing this every year, and we assume an average inflation rate of 3%, that handbag's cost isn't just $1,000. Over 10 years, it could cost you about $1,340 due to inflation. That's a significant increase. But it's not just about money. There's also the pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle. This can lead to stress and anxiety, which are costs that aren't easily measured. Here's a quick recap. When we spend to keep up, we often overlook the long-term impact on our finances and well-being. So, what if instead of chasing status, we focused on our own goals? Consider this. If you redirected that money towards savings or investments, you could build a financial cushion for the future. Let's say you invest that $1,000 instead. With a modest growth rate of 5%, in 10 years, you'd have about $1,630. That's a difference of over $300. Now, think about the impact of these choices on your life. Are you spending because you want to, or because you feel you have to? It's important to take a step back and evaluate your motivations. Ultimately, being mindful about spending can lead to a more fulfilling life. Remember, it's not about what you have, but how you choose to use your resources. So, as you move forward, consider what really matters to you and make choices that align with your values. Imagine you're at a gathering, and everyone's sharing stories about their latest vacations, gadgets, or home renovations. You start to feel that familiar tug, the urge to keep up. It's easy to fall into the trap of status spending, where you think, if they can afford that, so can I. But have you ever stopped to consider the hidden costs of that impulse? Let's talk about what happens when you chase status through your spending. It's not just about the money you're shelling out today, it's about what that money could have become if you had invested it instead. For instance, let's say you decide to spend $1,000 on a trendy gadget. If you had invested that $1,000 at an average annual return of 7%, in 10 years, it could grow to about $1,980. Now, think about that. You're not just losing the $1,000, you're also missing out on nearly $1,000 in potential growth. That's the power of compound interest. It's the idea that your money earns money over time. The longer you let it grow, the more it compounds. But here's where it gets even trickier. When you spend to keep up with others, you often find yourself in a cycle of continuous spending. Maybe you buy that new car because your friend just got one, and then you feel the need to upgrade your wardrobe to match. Suddenly, you're spending even more, and your financial goals start to slip further away. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to justify these purchases? It's just this once. You might tell yourself, But what if that just this once becomes a habit? Over time, those small, seemingly harmless purchases can add up to a significant amount. Let's do a quick calculation. If you spend an extra $500 a month to keep up with your friends, that's $6,000 a year. If you invested that $6,000 each year at 7%, in 10 years, you'd have about $70,000. That's a nice nest egg, isn't it? But instead, you might find yourself with a closet full of clothes you barely wear and a garage full of gadgets that are outdated. It's easy to get caught up in the moment. Social media makes it even harder. You scroll through feeds filled with perfectly curated lives, and suddenly, your own life feels inadequate. But remember, what you see online is often just a highlight reel. Behind the scenes, many are struggling with the same pressures and financial stress. Let's pause for a moment. Think about your own spending habits. Are you buying things to impress others? Or are you making purchases that truly add value to your life? The truth is, the pursuit of status can lead to a never-ending cycle of spending. You might feel good in the moment, but those fleeting feelings of happiness can quickly turn into regret when you realize the financial burden it creates. So, what can you do? Start by tracking your expenses. Identify where you're spending to keep up with others. Then, consider redirecting that money into savings or investments. Even small changes can lead to big results over time. As we wrap up, I want you to reflect on this. What would your financial future look like if you shifted your focus from keeping up with others to investing in yourself? Let's take a moment to think about that. The next time you feel the urge to spend for status, remember the hidden costs of that decision. Your future self will thank you. Imagine you're at a gathering, and everyone is talking about their latest gadgets, luxury vacations, or designer clothes. You feel that pressure to keep up, right? But what if I told you that the real cost of this keeping up habit goes far beyond what you see on the price tag? Let's dive into the math behind status spending and how it can compound against you over time. We'll use a consistent interest rate of 7% for our calculations. This rate is a reasonable assumption based on historical averages for stock market returns. Let's say you decide to splurge on a new smartphone. The latest model costs $1,000. If you buy that phone outright, you're out $1,000 today. But what if instead, you invested that $1,000 instead? At a 7% annual return, after 1 year, your investment would grow to $1,070. That's $1,000 multiplied by 1.07. Now, let's consider the impact over 5 years. If you leave that money to grow, using the same formula, after 5 years, your investment would be $1,000 multiplied by 1.07 raised to the power of 5. That gives us about $1,049.35. But what if instead of investing, you bought that smartphone every 2 years? Over 10 years, you'd have purchased 5 smartphones. That's $5,000 spent. Now, let's calculate how much your investment could have grown in that same time frame. If you had invested that $1,000 every 2 years instead of spending it, you would have made 5 investments of $1,000. The first investment would grow for 10 years, the second for 8 years, the third for 6 years, the fourth for 4 years, and the last for 2 years. So, let's break that down. The first investment of $1,000 would grow to about $1,815.25. The second investment of $1,000 would grow to about $1,435.20. The third investment would grow to about $1,158.75. The fourth investment would grow to about $858.75. And the last investment would grow to about $721.45. Now, if we add all of those amounts together, we get a total of around $5,000.25. That's right, by choosing to invest instead of keeping up with smartphone trends, you could have more than simply broken even. You could have gained an extra $25. Now, let's switch gears for a moment. Think about your wardrobe. Many of us have that friend who always seems to be wearing the latest fashion. If you spend $500 on a designer outfit every year, That's $5,000 over 10 years. Again, let's look at what that could have grown to if invested instead. If you invested $500 each year for 10 years, using the same 7% interest rate, your total investment would be around $8,000.46. That's right, by resisting the urge to splurge on the latest trends, you could have turned that $5,000 into $8,000.46. So, what's the takeaway here? The hidden costs of keeping up with status spending can add up significantly over time. Let's recap. When you choose to spend on status items, you're not just losing the money you spent. You're also missing out on the potential growth of that money if invested. Now, let's consider what this means for your future. Imagine the possibilities if you redirected that money into investments instead of status symbols. What would you do with the extra money? Would you travel, buy a home, or save for retirement? Here's a thought. Next time you feel the urge to keep up, pause for a moment. Ask yourself if that purchase is really worth the long-term cost. If you invested rather than spent, what could you achieve in 10 years? I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you balance spending and saving in your own life? Share your experiences in the comments below. Remember, the best investment you can make is in your future. By understanding the hidden costs of keeping up, you can make smarter financial choices that benefit you in the long run. So, the next time you're tempted to splurge, think about how that money could work for you instead. You might just find that investing in your future feels a lot better than keeping up with the latest trends. Meet Sarah, a 32-year-old marketing manager living in a vibrant city. Sarah loves fashion and often finds herself scrolling through social media, admiring the latest trends. One day, she notices her friends flaunting designer handbags. Feeling the pressure to fit in, she splurges on a handbag that costs $2,000. It's beautiful, but the purchase leaves her with a monthly payment of around $50 for the next 6 months, assuming a 7% interest rate. Now, let's do a quick calculation. If Sarah pays off that handbag over 6 months, she will end up paying about $250 in interest. That's not just a handbag, it's a commitment that impacts her budget. What could she have done with that money instead? Alright, let's shift gears to Tom, a 45-year-old father of 2. Tom drives an older car, but he feels the need to upgrade to a flashy SUV to impress his neighbors. The new vehicle costs $50,000. To finance it, he takes out a loan with a 7% interest rate, leading to a monthly payment of about $700 over 5 years. Over those 5 years, Tom will pay around $8,000 in interest alone. That's a significant sum that could have gone towards his kids' education or even a family vacation. Now, imagine if Tom had kept his old car for a few more years. Next, let's talk about Lisa, a 28-year-old who just moved into her first apartment. She wants to create an Instagram-worthy space. To achieve this, she spends $3,000 on furniture and decor. With a 7% interest rate on her credit card, she ends up paying an additional $200 in interest if she takes 6 months to pay it off. What if Lisa had taken a step back? Could she have found second-hand items or waited for sales? It's easy to get caught up in the moment, but those choices can add up. Now, let's consider Mark, a 50-year-old executive. Mark feels pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle. He frequently dines out at upscale restaurants, spending around $100 each week. Over a year, that's $5,200. If we factor in a 7% interest rate on a credit card balance, he's paying an additional $360 in interest. That's a lot for meals that last only a few hours. What if Mark explored local diners or cooked at home? Finally, there's Emily, a recent college graduate. She lands her first job and immediately feels the urge to buy the latest smartphone for $1,000. With a 7% interest rate, if she finances it, she'll pay about $150 in interest over a year. What could she have done with that money? Invest it, save it, or even travel? These stories illustrate how keeping up with societal pressures can lead to hidden costs. It's not just about the money spent today, it's about the long-term impact on your financial future. Are you ready to rethink your spending habits? Have you ever felt the pressure to keep up with friends or colleagues? That feeling can lead to what's known as status spending. This is when we buy things not because we need them, but to maintain a certain image. Imagine spending hundreds of dollars on the latest smartphone, not for its features, but just to fit in. Over time, these purchases can really add up, creating a cycle of debt and stress. Alright, now let's zoom out and think about the long-term effects. When we prioritize status over savings, we miss out on opportunities for financial growth. For example, if you spend an extra $100 each month on luxury items, that's $1,200 a year. If you invested that instead, with a modest growth rate of 5%, you could have over $1,400 in just 5 years. So, what's the real cost of keeping up? It's not just the money spent, it's also the lost potential for building wealth. Ask yourself, is that designer handbag really worth the financial strain? Remember, every dollar spent on status is a dollar not saved or invested. Let's take a moment to reflect. Have you ever bought something just to impress others? This kind of spending can lead to buyer's remorse and financial regret. It's important to be mindful of our purchases. Consider focusing on what truly brings you joy and value instead. Next, let's talk about social media. It can create unrealistic expectations about lifestyle and spending. Scrolling through feeds filled with luxury cars and exotic vacations can make you feel inadequate. But remember, what you see online is often curated and not the whole story. Another point to consider is the ripple effect of status spending. When you feel pressured to keep up, your spending habits can influence those around you. Friends may feel compelled to spend more, leading to a cycle of overspending in your social circle. Finally, let's shift our mindset. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your personal financial goals. Set a budget that aligns with your values and stick to it. Celebrate small victories, like saving for a vacation or paying off a debt. So, what's your takeaway from today? How can you shift your focus from status to financial well-being? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, true wealth isn't about what you show, it's about what you save and invest for your future. Alright, let's talk about a common objection. But I want to enjoy my life now. Why should I sacrifice my happiness for the future? I hear you. But here's the thing. True happiness often comes from experiences, not from the latest gadgets or designer clothes. Think about it. How many times have you bought something to impress others, only to feel that thrill fade away? That's status spending in action. Now, let's address another point. Isn't it just a part of life to keep up with friends and family? Sure, social connections are important. But what if I told you that spending to keep up can actually lead to stress and financial strain? Imagine feeling anxious every month because you're trying to maintain a lifestyle that doesn't fit your budget. Here's a quick recap. When you spend to impress, you might think you're gaining status, but you could be losing financial freedom. Over time, those small purchases add up. Let's say you spend an extra $100 a month just to keep up. That's $1,200 a year. If you invest that instead, assuming a modest growth rate, it could grow significantly over time. So, what if you redirected that spending towards experiences that truly enrich your life? Now, let's pause for a moment. Picture this. Instead of buying that expensive watch, you take a weekend trip with friends. Which memory will last longer? I want you to think about your own spending habits. Are they truly adding value to your life? Or are they just keeping up appearances? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about what really matters in our financial journeys. Have you ever wondered how much your desire to keep up with others is costing you? Let's dive into the hidden costs of status spending. Imagine you buy a new car because your friend just got one. That car might set you back around $30,000. But what if I told you that the real cost is much higher? When you factor in insurance, maintenance, and fuel, you could be looking at an additional $5,000 each year. Over 5 years, that's an extra $25,000. And if we consider an average inflation rate of 3%, that's like throwing away even more money. Alright, now let's zoom out. Think about your wardrobe. You might spend $100 on a trendy outfit to impress your peers. But if you're constantly buying new clothes to stay fashionable, those costs can add up to thousands over time. Now, let's do some quick math. If you buy $100 worth of clothes each month, that's $1,200 a year. Over 10 years, that's $12,000. And if you keep up with trends, you may find yourself replacing those clothes every few years. So, what's the real takeaway here? Status spending can compound against you, draining your finances while you chase the latest trends. Before we wrap up, I want you to think about this. What would you do with the money you could save by stepping back from status spending? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about how we can shift our mindset from keeping up with others to focusing on what truly matters. Remember, financial wellness is about making choices that align with your values, not just your status. As we wrap up today's discussion on the hidden costs of keeping up with status spending, let's reflect on some key takeaways. First, remember that status spending can lead to debt that compounds over time. Second, the pressure to maintain appearances can distract you from your financial goals. Third, every dollar spent on status could be invested for your future. Fourth, comparison is a thief of joy and can cloud your financial judgment. Finally, true wealth is about security, not status. So, as you navigate your financial journey, keep this in mind: the best investment is in yourself and your future. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights. Join us next time as we explore practical ways to build wealth without the pressure of keeping up. Until then, remember, financial peace is the ultimate status. Stay chill.